Before that role was taken over by YouTubers, most attempts to understand computer RPGs took place on online message boards. There was a particular kind of RPG these communities valued, a game built around ideas like choices and consequences, reactivity, sophisticated RPG systems, gameplay that resembled a strategy game. Text was considered to be a perfectly valid primary organ for delivering information. In the second half of the 2000s, that kind of RPG went through a rough period. Games simply weren't being made the way they used to be. The old order was broken. But then, in the mid-2010s, CRPGs began to resurface again, and the flagship of that revival was Pillars of Eternity, a game influenced by forums culture and the values those communities spent years articulating. You know how every millennial gaming YouTuber eventually makes a Deus Ex video? Well, Pillars was like that, but for CRPG critics. RPG Codex alone produced something like half a dozen reviews of this game.
How fortunate you are to learn such well-guarded secrets. All it has cost you is your life.
Within a few years, forums would be eclipsed by YouTube and social media, and the old culture of criticism, the one that focused on choices and consequences and RPG systems, would be replaced by something else. What I personally learned from all this is that RPG theory is like dating. People have no idea what they want. So, how do I segue from this? So let's go on a date with Josh Eternity. 2602, Ani Iroccio calendar. 2 centuries before Sigram's awakening and the events of Pillars of Eternity. Adiran explorers discover a new continent in the east and encounter the nation of Air Glanfath. 2623. Colonial ships Klana and Dirla set sail for Eastern Reach. Their destination is the Adiran colony of Dyrford. My name is Sigram Eret. For decades, I campaigned across Grand Valia, Aedir, and the Living Lands with the Order of the Bleak Walkers. But as I grew older and lost some of my martial edge, I turned to books, the books of wizardry. The year is 2822. We have arrived with a caravan to the free nation of Dyrford, where the local lord is offering land to settlers. But before we go claim our 2-room apartment in Gilded Vale, Dyrford, we should briefly talk about character creation. I appreciate that the UI was designed to keep information manageable, with the various creation steps compartmentalized into different sub-tabs, instead of being dumped onto a single screen. This avoids the MIG cockpit problem some RPGs have, recently seen in Vince D. Weller's Colony Ship of Eternity, where you are overwhelmed with information before you even understand why anything matters. If you remember early reviews of this game, you might recall individuals complaining about balance, sometimes using language that almost suggests some sort of hyper-relativism. It's too balanced. Any class can be anything. There is simply no truth in the world anymore, thanks to Josh Sawyer. This was one of many micro-culture wars caused by this game, and for the most part it's based on nothing. Compared to Dungeons & Dragons 3, this design is more versatile in some ways, but in other ways less, and it averages out to being about the same. An important difference is that instead of strength, we now have might, which governs not only melee damage, but also ranged and spell damage, so it's no longer a dump stat for half the classes. Feats don't have stat requirements in Pillars, and most feats don't even have class requirements. In this playthrough, I took the roguey-flavored Envenomed Strike feat on my wizard, and used it with a summoned weapon. It works really well, and you feel super clever for figuring out this synergy. On the other hand, the game doesn't have multi-classing at all. This sharply limits what you can do with a character. But on the positive side, it does make the systems easier to learn. But do you know what else makes sophisticated things easier to learn? This video sponsor, Boot.dev. Learn software development through a special gamified RPG-style online curriculum covering Python, SQL, TypeScript, and more. All content is free to read and watch. A paid membership simply unlocks additional interactive features. Bored learners quit, so the idea is that you never get bored. Learn how to code by doing what you actually do at a job. That's building real projects. There is a 30-day no questions asked refund policy and a free demo of the interactive experience available for every course. Go to bod.dev and use my code Warlockracy to get 25% off your entire first year on the annual plan. That's bod.dev. It's getting late, so we make one final stop before our destination. The caravan master forbids everyone from even thinking about entering the nearby ruins. Not that I was going to. This is a tutorial that teaches you basic controls. Kalishka, a human fighter, and Sigram run around the area doing chores and making small talk, having a chat about our future life in the free nation of Dyrford. And nothing goes wrong.
Ambush!
2626, that's 200 years ago. A war breaks out between the colonists and the people of Air Glanfath. Adherent settlers failed to understand the Glanfathans' deep cultural connection to the stone ruins. 2631. After thousands of deaths, a peace treaty is signed between the Dyrford and the Glanfathans. The treaty's terms strictly limit the trade of ancient artifacts. The ruins are not to be plundered. Pillars of Eternity has turn-based combat now, added 10 years after the game's original release. You can turn it on and off in the escape menu. Unfortunately, the combat encounters, at least in the current beta, were clearly made with real time in mind. We'll get into that after we've experienced enough of them. Just 3 survivors. The others are gone. The prologue continues inside the Forbidden Ruin, where we are introduced to more story concepts. The Engwithans were the ancient inhabitants of this land. Their soul manipulation technology was very advanced, and they loved grandiose architecture, but little else is known about Engwithans. You can clear the dungeon for some minor rewards, or you can beeline straight for the exit. You won't miss anything crucial, and the whole thing can be finished in under 2 minutes. Well, maybe not in turn-based mode. Outside, we stumble upon something we were never meant to see.
Oathbinder, bear witness, and see this man has kept his word true to his last breath, full to his blood's last drop. Guide his soul, queen that was, and regard it among your favored. Let his life by the key be his confession. Let his death by the key be his absolution.
The ancient machine comes to life, summoning a biawak, a spirit wind, a type of storm that rips the soul from a person's body. This is strange. How do I know what the machine does? I've never seen it before. There is something I meant to ask this man. Was she telling the truth?
My lady Ivara, I beg of you. This is an Inquisitor. This is a desperate attempt on your life. The only way it can succeed is if you allow it to.
When we wake up, our companions are gone, and we can now speak to the dead. Much later, we will learn that what happened to us is called the Awakening. It's when you remember your past lives.
I am trusting you to remain loyal to the gods in this. If you do not, you will have greater powers than me to answer to. But you will answer to me as well.
Welcome to Pillars of Eternity, a story about an ancient conspiracy a city on a hill, a man-made sickness, about soul and reincarnation, about the bones the gods have buried, and about changing the nature of Kith and Wilder. Our destination is the hamlet of Gilded Vale, where it quickly becomes clear why the local lord was so generous to settlers. The villagers can't have children. It's complicated. 2643, the colony of Red Seras is founded north of Dyrford. The Eothasian sect was a problematic religious minority in the Aedir Empire. Eothas is a god of light and redemption. His followers were encouraged to settle in Red Seras and establish an economy based on the cultivation of dye-producing plants. 2807, a revolution occurs in Red Seras, led by Saint Widwen, who is said to be an incarnation of the god Eothas. The duchy declares independence from the empire, and the same year, Widwen declares war on the Dyrwood, the Saints' War. The Dyrwoodans mobilize their forces and counterattack into Red Seras, only to suffer devastating losses. They are then outmaneuvered by the Red Seren force that advanced through White March to the capital city of Defiance Bay. 2808. Saint Widwen steps on the Yvonne Deur Bridge to Defiance Bay. The powerful weapon called the God Hammer is detonated beneath his feet. The Red Seren army, Widwen, and seemingly Eothas are vaporized, ending the Saints' War. – 2809. The first Hollowborn is reported in Dyrwood. The Hollowborn are children born without souls. Widwen's legacy, they call it. We have wronged a god, and we can't have children anymore. Lord Raedric invited many soul experts called animancers to help with the problem. But there is no solution to the Hollowborn crisis. It's them hanging from the tree, the scientists. Gilded Vale. Something this pretty shouldn't be so sad. Our first priority is to gather a party before venturing forth.
Go on. Say it again. I'm itching for an excuse.
I meant no offense.
Eloth is an elf wizard from Aedir. He got in trouble with the locals because he is suffering from some sort of magical Tourette's. A compatriot and neurodivergent, say no more. Wizards are highly versatile. In our group, Sigram Eret will be a melee wizard fighting with summoned weapons, while Eloth handles the more traditional offensive spellcasting. Another future friend of ours is waiting by the tree.
17 and a half.
He is counting the bodies. Adair is a human fighter with a pleasant, laid-back attitude. Important in a place like this. He is an Eothasian, but served in the Dyrwood army during the Saints' War. As a fighter, his job is to anchor the front line, absorb damage, and never die. This is super easy to do because of the fighter's excellent defensive feats. It's a battlefield-shaping class. A key fighter feature is their extra engagement slots, which allow them to lock down more enemies than other classes. If an engaged enemy tries to move away, it triggers a disengagement attack from the fighter. The older Infinity Engine games didn't have attacks of opportunity, which meant that movement was unrestricted, and as a result, insanely overpowered. In Baldur's Gate 1, most enemies had no way to deal with kiting, so you could destroy this game's combat system just by moving away from enemies. The 90s RPGs were like that sometimes.
Saw you in the flames.
And that's Durance, a priest of Magran, goddess of fire and adversity. But Durance simply calls her a whore.
Come to pray at the statue?
Pillars of Eternity doesn't allow conventional pre-buffing, so a priest's role is to cast buffs at the start of combat to optimize the party's damage output. They also have a wide arsenal of offensive and healing spells, though in practice I find the healing side of things to be less important, because every class has a self-heal now. This is Kana, a chanter class. His race, the Amawar, are big guys with aquatic features. Chanters shape songs from short individual phrases. Each phrase is like a weaker spell. Once they recite enough phrases, they can cast an invocation, an extra powerful finisher. And the best part is that the recitation is automatic. They can keep chanting while doing something else, like shooting a gun or fighting in melee. Now, the new classes and abilities are exciting and all, but the real reason we came to the Eastern Reach was the promise of a 2-room apartment in Gilded Vale, Dyrford. Lord Raedric, however, hasn't followed through. The showdown with Raedric is the big boss fight of the first chapter. It's entirely optional. The problems of Gilded Vale are not necessarily the problems of Sigram Eret, but I want to see how our party handles a real test. So what are we up against? 3 glass cannon casters, 2 of them mages. Highly lethal, these are priority targets. Gunshots are great for interrupting spellcasting. And these 3 are heavily armored paladins of Barath. There are actually 4 of them if you include Raedric himself. They can absorb an enormous amount of damage and have healing, making them extremely hard to break. A useful trick. Many potent mage self-buffs are free actions, so you can cast possibly an unlimited number of them in a single turn. How stupid can this get? It can get very stupid, and I mean this in the best possible way. The late-game wizard is tanky like a fighter, accurate like a ranger, and fights with a summoned weapon that deals area of effect damage, which is a barbarian feature. You know what? Maybe RPG codexers were right. There is no truth in the world. Kana shoots Raedric in the back of the head. Sigram the Sorcerer, more like Sigram the Homeless. I guess real estate is the one thing we can't conjure out of thin air. But maybe we don't have to. 2625. The fortress of Caed Nua begins construction. The stronghold was later abandoned when the local lord unsealed the ancient dungeon that lay underneath. Horrors from below were unleashed onto the surface. The Endless Paths of Caed Nua is an ancient research facility built around a giant statue. Even brief glimpses of it make you wonder what lies deeper below. I'll be reviewing each level individually. Floor 1. The basement is the only mandatory level of the mega dungeon. I should probably say a few things about encounter design. It breaks down roughly like this. About a third of the battles in Pillars of Eternity are what you might call simple encounters, like this fight against a handful of these snake fellas. They are just a speed bump. Placed near the staircase to the lower level, their purpose is to signal that the next area has a snake theme to it. Another third are sophisticated encounters. Think party versus party battles, like this clash with a band of looters. They have a tank, ranged attackers, melee DPS, almost the full spread of roles. The remaining third of combat encounters are fights like this. These are battles that are just hard enough to drain your resources. I'm talking about both in-game resources and your real-life mental bandwidth. But they are not important for the local story or for the big narrative. Fighting these battles is like doing captchas. Sophisticated encounters were always a strength of Pillars, and the introduction of turn-based mode only made them better. This is some of the finest combat in the genre. Simple encounters, and especially capture battles, are made worse by turn-based mode, because they now drag on even longer. This is some of the weakest combat in the genre. Do with that information what you will. The first floor of the Mega Dungeon is a solid 7 out of 10. It would have been an exemplary introduction, if not for that one filler battle against the weirdly tanky insects.
Mayor Wald isn't here.
The final combat encounter of Floor 1 is the Mad Wizard Maywald, who, like Sigrun, has an ability to speak to the dead. Pillars doesn't have a proper equivalent of Baldur's Gate wizard battles. This is the closest we got, which is not very close. Before becoming violent, the Mad Watcher gives us a very important name. The Leaden Key, a secret society that existed since time immemorial.
Are you ready to take the oath? To spread the word of the gods to the lost and heathen?
I am. On the bright side, we have a home now. Repairing Caed Nua's many individual structures will take a long time, weeks. We'll be back later to dig into its various mechanics, as well as the Mega Dungeon, once we have more experience. For now, it's off to the capital. (2668). The War of Defiance. Dyrwood declares independence from Aedir. The armies of Dyrwood and Air Glanfath stand united against the Emperor. 2672. The Tide. A fleet of Aediran ships sent to crush the rebellion is destroyed by a natural phenomenon known as the Lover's Tide. Glanfathan astronomers had predicted the tide, and the revolutionaries adapted their strategy to exploit it. The rebels prevail, the Dyrwood is free. If you are going to be making an Infinity Engine throwback, you need to have a big city. Welcome to Defiance Bay. We have street crime, tavern brawls, anti-science activism, hate crime, a library that doubles as a temple of Wal, the god of fetch quests. These are the mind-reading spooks of the Dunrid Row, the intelligence agency of Dyrwood. And this is the compound belonging to the Dyrwooden nationalist organization called the Dozens. A decade ago, on the Yvonne Daur Bridge, just over a dozen armed men and women stood their ground against a god. The original dozen were killed by Widwen, or the subsequent Godhammer detonation. A community isn't a place, it's a connection to history and meaning. It's not unusual to meet Dyrwoodens in Air Glanfath, or Glanfathans in Defiance Bay. We have protected and Gwithan ruins for thousands of years. It's the one duty the gods ask of us, in exchange for the freedom to live as we please. Defiance Bay has endless merchant stalls, taverns and inns, tunnels and catacombs. And secrets. What are you doing? Research. A hodgepodge of animancy and necromancy. 2681. Dyrwood legalizes animancy, the science of the soul. It's not the same as magic. By embracing this once controversial discipline, the nation cements its role as one of the leaders of animantic R&D. Naturally, we have vice in Defiance Bay. Welcome to the club of refined and prestigious gentlemen. Don't be afraid, liberal. It's called a cultural reference. The Vincent Dwellier character is an insert of the writer from the RPG Codex webzone, who is also the designer for Iron Tower Studios, a big name in a small community of CRPG enthusiasts. He sells items that reference other forums posters, as well as the local community memes. I almost forgot. We have terrorism in Defiance Bay. This is actually kind of big. We are standing on top of an Nguithan tower. There is a city district built around it. Agents of the Leaden Key awakened the long-dormant machine at the tower's summit. Its activation killed everyone in this part of the city.
You are from Caed Nua, my boy.
Yes, I was born there.
A remarkable city. Truly one of the most impressive we have encountered outside of our own. Many exceptional people who have joined our cause come from Caed Nua.
There is a Planescape Torment type of a moment when we realize that we already know how to operate the ancient machine. So we shut it down, but not before siphoning some power from the souls trapped inside. Free attribute points. Don't mind if I do. The Leaden Key is a secret society serving the goddess Woodica, the exiled queen, Oathbinder.
Oathbinder bear witness.
Woodica's domains are law, justice, hierarchy, and vengeance. Back in Aedir, Woodica is still respected, but in the revolutionary Dyrwood, not so much. The Leaden Key has a hidden base in the capital, accessible through the catacombs.
State your name and purpose.
My name belongs to the gods, and my hand to their service. The code words can be learned from a book in the other room.
Tell me of your labors.
To see that the craft of Kith and Wilder does not disturb what bones the gods have buried. We learn that the conspirators are planning to sabotage the animancy research in Defiance Bay, but nothing about the mysterious man. Does not disturb what bones the gods have buried. What does that mean?
It's very nice. We're not sleeping here, are we?
Let me introduce you to the basics of castle management. Caed Nua has stats. Well, just two. That's prestige, which increases the chance of positive random events, and that's security, which reduces the likelihood of negative ones. Buildings in the courtyard can be restored or upgraded. Building the Warden's Lodge unlocks bounty hunting quests, essentially complex party versus party battles. One of the highlights of the Stronghold experience. Occasionally, petitioners will arrive with problems that require your judgment. You get to sit in the talking chair and decide their fate, a very cool feature. However, what I am primarily interested in are the Endless Paths, a 15-floor mega-dungeon beneath the keep. We'll pick up where we left off. Floor 2. Catacombs, home of the little lizard fellas, as was foreshadowed. The lizards are more complex than they seem. They have paladins, clerics, archers. The sacrificial pit allows you to skip the next 2 floors entirely. I'm not sure why one would do that, but it makes for an interesting set piece. A good level, also 7 out of 10. Floor 3. A stone sewer system of Adiran construction, more than a century old. This is our first encounter with ogres and ogre druids, nature spellcasters. Unfortunately, they are damage sponges, which is a broader problem with combat. The level is almost redeemed by 2 bright spots. That's a fun final battle against an ogre matriarch, and a clever puzzle room that requires an item found on the next floor. 5 out of 10, serviceable. Level 4, The Caverns. Another glimpse of the giant statue. No one knows who it's meant to represent.
Now that's just tacky.
The Adiran is not impressed. These ruins are older, but still settler in origin. We haven't reached the Engwithen section yet. The area is populated with packs of durable, low-damage enemies. They are tedious to grind down in turn-based mode, so I switched to real-time. 6 out of 10. Each level of the Endless Paths is about a third the size of a floor in BioWare's Durlag's Tower, or Black Isle's Watcher's Keep. And this is smart. Every floor introduces a concept and then wraps it up before it overstays its welcome. Floor 5. This level has a secret treasure room, as well as a boss battle against a Drake, who cryptically mentions the Master below. 7 out of 10. If you are sick of the catacombs, the next level will be the final one. Floor 6. The level features a large central room with the mother of all swarm fights, especially if you accidentally aggro an extra group. Individual skeletons are easily destroyed, but there is just so many of them. The door marks the transition from the Aedir-built section into the ancient Engwithen structure. 8 out of 10, but only when played in real time. Floor 7. Here we battle the Pillars vs. Elementals, known as Blights. There is a puzzle you can solve that makes the final Elemental encounter easier, but if the developer commentary hadn't mentioned it, I wouldn't even have noticed that there was a final battle.
This was Gabranos?
Kana is deeply disgusted by the unethical experiments carried out on this floor. From the way he talks, you'd think this was something dark, like a death camp mission from a Wolfenstein game. Calm down, Fishman. It's just a stupid wizard lab with elementals. 3 out of 10, the next level is much better. Floor 8. The Engwithens are still around as undead vampires. They have a very dangerous mind control power. If this was Baldur's Gate, I would have pre-buffed with chaotic commands or something similar, but you can't do that in Pillars. On the palm of the giant statue's hand, there is a non-hostile vampire in an armor made of Adra. We have already learned, or remembered, the Engwithen language, so it's possible for us to communicate. You understand me? Even the foreigners speak our tongue now. Truly, we are an immortal people. This facility was once the site of incredible discoveries in the field of animancy. Specifically, they studied life extension, transferring souls into things. I was eager to attempt it. My leg at the time pained me terribly. Old war wound. I remember the first moment, the relief. But we found that after some time, the body would remember that it was, after all, dead. There is really no describing what it feels like to see your own fingers rotting away. The smell. Is this the Master below? No. Caed Nua is dead. But then, if we could preserve ourselves despite our deaths, then so perhaps could he. You can fight the old Engwithen if you want. Nothing really makes you, but it is a great battle. An excellent level. Would be a 9 out of 10, if not for the copy-pasted capture encounters. The dungeon's difficulty ramps up faster than we gain levels, so Sigram will finish conquering it later. We have received word that Lady Webb of the Dear Wooden Intelligence wants to see us, so we head back to Defiance Bay. As is customary for the genre, each companion has a personal side quest. Adur learns that his brother fought for Raid Seras, and he is asking himself whether that was a right or a wrong choice. Endurance is revealed to be one of the architects of the Godhammer weapon. He is a Dyrwooden nationalist who took part in the purges. Since reincarnation is a thing, the story is not big on racism, but it's huge on nationalism and sectarianism. If a Dur is incapacitated in battle, Durance will make fun of him. After all, our Eothasian friend is a member of a sectarian minority, and probably a traitor as well.
These are the ways of the heathen world.
Surely the gods would do better to destroy us all and start anew.
Perhaps they would. It may come to that one day. This is why we must not fail.
This is a trading post of the Valiant Trading Company. 2641. The Empire of Grand Valia enters a terminal decline. The same cannot be said about the Grand Empire's former colonies in the Eastern Reach that thrived as independent Valian republics.
I'm ready.
Meet our new friend, Pelagina, a Valian knight from an exotic, player-inaccessible order. She's an avian godlike, a distinct subtype that players cannot create for their own characters. Godlike are individuals born with physical traits associated with the gods. The Paladin is a durable class, second only to a fighter. They possess a powerful and accurate special attack. That is in addition to a suite of cleric-like abilities and status effect manipulation. Speaking of manipulation, the Dyrwooden spooks have been researching the Leaden Key for a long time. Lady Webb, the woman in charge, used to have many suitors when she was young, all high-status men. But her power as a cipher let her look into their thoughts and see that they were shallow people. So she never committed to anyone. Until she met him.
The man you seek is Theos Ix Arcanon, Grand Master of the Leaden Key. One of the most elusive and dangerous men Eora has ever known.
The plots he orchestrates take hundreds of years to bear fruit. What little evidence exists suggests that he died many times, reborn each time exactly the same man, with all the knowledge and experience of all his lifetimes. This is not how things are supposed to work, but Theos is one of Woodica's favored, and Woodica's law does not apply equally to everyone. The Grand Master shows himself only in the most critical matters. And what's the most important thing happening in Dyrwood right now? It's the animancy hearings, a series of closed-door sessions held in the Ducal Palace, where the fate of animancy will be decided, and with it, the fate of the nation, and perhaps even the world. Based on what we've seen, the advances in animancy, life extension, and soul-based automation could trigger an equivalent of an industrial revolution. It seems the Grand Master intends to prevent this from happening. Lady Webb wants us to follow up on leads related to Leaden Key activity, and to that end, we make our way to the village of Dyrford. Now, there is nothing wrong with Dyrford per se. The problem is that by the time you arrive, you have already spent a dozen hours grinding through combat captures and absorbing exposition. Players' attention is a finite resource, and you are just about spent. Put the game down now, and there is a real chance you will never come back to Pillars of Eternity. Cumulative fatigue is what kills the adventure. But I can't seriously get mad at this. Pillars is designed the way it is because it loves you. It respects your intelligence. It listens to what you have to say. Every flaw in Pillars corresponds to some big thought in the Forum's theory of Krapuger. Real-time combat is annoying to manage, because there is this mental idea that is still repeated uncritically that a CRPG is a translation of tabletop rules to a computer format. So there you go. Classes in this game seem to be designed with turn-based pen and paper logic in mind. Every person at the table needs something to do, so every class is sophisticated. Just about every character has some sort of resource to manage and usually a bunch of spammable abilities and toggleable modes. But a CRPG is not like tabletop. We are not playing this with a bunch of other people at the table. It's just us. We alone control all the characters in the party like in a strategy game, and we do it in real time too. And all this design does is overwhelm you with busy work. The mind-numbingly dull capture battles were almost certainly born out of intention to improve the ubiquitous Infinity Engine trash encounter. In addition to that, Pillars of Eternity managed to accomplish the feat of being both verbose and underwritten at the same time. There are enormous quantities of text, yet some of the most important ideas in the story never receive the attention they deserve. Certain names seem like placeholders that somehow survived into the final script. Instead, the writers invested heavily in text descriptions, like they really went all in on those. The game imitates the style of Planescape Torment, where the dialogue window has descriptive prose together with spoken lines. Sometimes those descriptions say something important, but more often than not, they simply restate information the player has already inferred from the scene. Basically, the game repeats itself. Players' attention is a finite resource, and you are just about spent. Steam tells me that I have played Pillars for more than 300 hours, but this playthrough will be the first time I actually finish the game.
Hungry? I can't eat all this. First catch of the day, help yourself.
Hiravius is an easygoing druid companion who will be representing Air Glanfath in the party. He's an Orlan, basically this setting's take on halflings, just as hairy but with big ears. I never actually triggered this bit of dialogue myself, but according to the wiki, Eder would compliment Hiravius by saying that he defies Orlan stereotypes. There is a dear wooden proverb: face of skin, let them in. Face of hair, best beware. Like the priest, the druid has a mix of offense, buffs, and healing, but the nature wizard is more geared for elemental damage. And of course, there is the classic druid Fursona ability, turning the spellcaster into an equivalent of a DPS rogue.
Blood makes the grass grow!
The big story in Dyrford is about dealing with the cult of Caed, the god of resentment. 2720 was the year of the most recent confirmed case of a Caednite ritual. A noble family was captured by peasants, flayed alive and nailed to the roof of its estate to be eaten by birds and flies. Blood makes the grass grow. That's a Caednite sacrificial pool. Someone should clean that up. In the dungeon beneath Dyrford, we are given an opportunity to appease the god of resentment by sacrificing a party member. You get a permanent attribute boost, the companion dies, and all the memory of them will be erased. The world will forget they ever existed. But who would do such a thing? Did you hear something? I thought I heard something. You know, it's probably not even a real blood pool. It's probably just red dye, just here for scaring people. In the depths of the nearby Ngwithan ruin, we discover another Biawak machine. It's been activated recently enough that the last thoughts of the sacrificed cultists remain readable. Theos used Nguithan technology to engineer Waidwen's legacy, and animancy is to be blamed for it. The hearings are still underway in the palace.
Ramir D. Barash, representing the interests of animancers in Dyrwood. Step forward.
The Defiance Bay business elite, represented by the Dominal family, largely support animancy. The dozens blame the scientists for the crisis.
It's about a bunch of so-called intellectuals fucking with the natural order, while the rest of us gotta suffer for it.
Eventually, the Duke asks a very important question. If animancy isn't responsible for the legacy, then what is? Don't waste your chance. Alright, here it goes. Waidwen's legacy is the creation of the Leaden Key.
Beasts. Another lunatic at the hearing.
Being new to Dyrwood, Sigrid didn't realize that the Leaden Key conspiracies are the local equivalent of rants about turning frogs gay. He's here. The Grandmaster's soul is capable of possessing other bodies, a useful power for an agent of the gods.
I must be careful in my judgment.
Forgive me, your grace. We will accept no judgment but our own.
What's he doing? No! Avenge the Duke!
The assassination of the Duke, thought to be carried by animancers, triggers a riot in Defiance Bay. Soul scientists are torn apart by angry mobs. The sanitarium, the Animancy Academy, is set on fire. Lady Webb.
I was a fool to think I could tame these people.
You came closer than most.
A fine epitaph.
No worse than any.
In her final moments, she accomplished what she never could before. She read the mind of the most dangerous man in Eora.
What's in Twin Elms?
Did you pull that from my thoughts?
I've had time to practice.
You know this is how it has to be.
We are leaving Defiance Bay. Our ultimate destination is Twin Elms, the biggest city in Air Glanfath. But before we set out, there is still unfinished business at Caed Nua. The player's Stronghold has a lot going for it. There is one problem though. It feels like a minigame detached from Pillars of Eternity. The developers recognized this disconnect and patched in a special quest line to integrate Caed Nua more organically into the broader game. Enter Lord Gathbin, our rival. He disputes our claim to Caed Nua. Gathbin plots and schemes, he gathers allies, as do we. One thing leads to another, and eventually our two armies converge on the fields east of the keep. The battle unfolds in two stages. Stage 1 plays out as a text adventure. Our rival fields a formidable host, Rawatayan berserkers, bleak walker paladins, Adiran battle mages. That's very scary. Fire. And now we charge. Stage 2 is the biggest battle in the game. We have 6 people in the party and about 20 friendlies. Our rival commands a similar force. A fight on this scale would be exhausting, regardless of combat mode. But since it only happens once, it works. I'm not complaining. War, what is it good for? XP and gold. And now, for the reason we are here. The Endless Paths of Caed Nua. Floor 9. This is where we first meet Vithrax, humanoid creatures with natural cipher abilities, kind of like this game's Mind Flayers, but less gross. Previously, the encounters featured no more than one enemy with mind control, but on this floor we are fighting groups of Vithrax, backed by their spider escorts, very dangerous. There is a memorable trap room with floor spikes, reminds me of Baldur's Gate 2. 6 out of 10, let down by encounter spam. Floor 10. A very small level. You fight spiders and spirits. There sure are a lot of ghost battles in pillars. The problem with those is that ghosts lack satisfying hit feedback. That and HP bloat. Spirits shouldn't be this tanky. I could use some button awesome connection right about now. 3 out of 10. Floor 11. Another tiny level, but, it's about how you use it. The theme of this floor is fungus and plant life. There are 3 battles on the level, and each one is really good.
You're not getting through me.
This fight is about controlling the choke point. This is about spore plants that spam crowd control. And this is the same, but with a spore plant boss. Anticipating the problem, I invested in some pricey gear that lets me summon disposable bodies, ideal for soaking up crowd control effects. 7 out of 10, a fun level. Floor 12, the Vithrak Hive. Fortunately, the Vithrax turn out to be mostly peaceful. This is unexpected, but not unwelcome. Go ahead, Outlander. Speak. A strong level overall. Distinctive visuals, our first real contact with an alien culture. The spider battles are getting old though. 7 out of 10. Floor 13. This level is unmistakably in Gwydden, but the style is different. The geometry is strange, like the ancient artist had some sort of a statement to make, but I'm not sure what that was. The constructs deal barely any damage, but they have so much health, every battle drags on forever. These are capture battles of the worst kind. The level is saved by an excellent boss fight. The Golden Guardian regenerates huge amounts of health every turn, so you'll have to find a way to counter it. 6 out of 10, not great, not terrible. A beloved king of Engwyth, Caed Nua was a fair ruler, until the death of his son drove him insane. The purpose of the massive statue was drawing Maro's soul back to the world of the living. Floor 14. When the mutineers came for him, Caed Nua's final act was to cast a spell that entombed him within a crystal. It wasn't an attempt to prolong his life, it was meant to keep his body from being defiled.
Take up your sword! To battle!
There is only one encounter here. It's the fight against Caed Nua and his sisters, all of them ghosts.
Yes?
Unfortunately, there is not a single memorable line of dialogue. For all their importance, Caed Nua and the Engwythans feel underwritten, believe it or not. We do learn, though, that Caed Nua was not the master below. Even while the endless paths were still being built, something else was already down there. 7 out of 10. The battle is fun, and the arena looks pretty. The next level is the final one. Floor 15.
Look, the statue. We've reached the very depths at last.
The snake fellas are back. What if there is no master below? What if it's just a myth? A deconstruction of roleplay tropes? Perhaps a real quote-unquote master below was above. and I was just about to thank you for getting me out of Gilded Vale.
Here you are, nearly at the heart of the world. What a journey you have made.
The dragon is one of the oldest and the most powerful entities in Eora. Long before Caed Nua fell, the dragon made this place her home. First, she feasted on the Inguithans, and then on the souls inside the Titan. But the statue is a finite resource, and the dragon grew too big to leave. A few more centuries, and she will starve to death.
How fortunate you are to learn such well-guarded secrets. All it has cost you is your life.
We can either fight Saphira or help her escape. Helping her means tricking a powerful dragon hunter into becoming the new vessel for her soul. But if we betray the dragon and warn the hunter of the threat, they will teach us the scale breaker dragon slaying technique. That's the path I ultimately chose. After descending to the depths of the mega dungeon, walking away from the final boss just feels wrong. Scalebreaker 101. Pillars doesn't allow classic D&D pre-buffing, but you can sort of still do it by eating high-end food before the fight. Saphira's most dangerous attack is Dragon Breath. Watch her facing, spread the party, and be ready to reposition, because a direct hit can wipe out the entire group. The second key mechanic is her Fear Aura. This is countered by the Priest's level 1 protection from fear. It must be active at all times, otherwise the dragon becomes nearly impossible to hit, as fear reduces accuracy. I was playing this in turn-based, which at the time of recording was still in beta, and there were all sorts of weird bugs. Sometimes the dragon would switch to our side in the opening turn and attack its allies. Twice I had the game freeze when I attempted to cast a spell, but the most absurd bug, like so bad it's good, involves these spellcasting enemies with broken initiative. There is clearly an extra 0 somewhere in the database, because in the turn-based mode, they get to make 7 or 8 turns in a row. Combine that with their ability to cast druid spells that can stun-lock you, and with the fact that there are 4 of these spellcasters helping the dragon, well, this would make it one of the hardest battles in any game ever. So I had to switch to real time to avoid the bug. My first strategy was to fall back into this narrow pocket and use the dragon's own body to block her army from reaching us. It almost worked. I got Saphira down to very low health a few times, but the positioning leaves almost no room to maneuver, and her breath attack becomes a death sentence. So instead, we ran across the map past the snake fellas to the dragon's treasury. This lets us pick off her allies while setting up buffs and summons, because the game thinks that we are still in combat. When the dragon finally shows up, we apply the scale breaker and other marks and debuffs. Kana ended up landing the final blow. Few things can survive the fishman singing, and Saphira was no exception. Fine work, everyone. A 10 out of 10 level. My feeling of accomplishment is immense, and my day is going great. The Endless Paths of Caed Nua. Journey to the center of Arcanum and back. A training machine for the mind.
What's in Twin Elms?
I do like that what we learn about animancy feeds back into the decisions we make in the main quest. But on the negative side, the Caed Nua storyline feels like a first draft of an idea that could have been interesting with more development. But enough with the delays. Everything we worked so hard to achieve is under threat. We go to Kratum to find Iovara X Encios. The Grand Master wants us to lure her into a trap in the city of Oceanos, where the Inquisition is strong. This is how we put an end to the apostate of Kratum and to her dangerous movement. 2780. The Dyrford moves to solidify their relations with Heir Glanfath. The last major war between the two nations was 120 years ago. Across the river, another society has arisen under a different flag. Welcome to Twin Elms. It's the only place in the Eastern Reach where the Glanfathans are permitted to live among the Builder's relics. In the Temple District, we can see an Engwithan building, not a ruin, well maintained for thousands of years. Somewhat ironically, this is a temple of Rimrgand, the beast of winter, the god of entropy and bad luck.
Easily brought to heel by the fire.
There is a tavern built around a giant tree. There are all kinds of folks here. Locals, adventurers, traders from the Valian republics, even wilders like this ogre. I feel a sense of belonging in Twin Elms. This is home. Quite literally, it used to be back in the day. And this is Teir Evron, the Hall of Stars, guarded by the two Delemgan sisters, the Primordials, said to predate Heir Glanfath. Theos went to Sun and Shadow, a secret underground city beneath the Elms. We can get there through the pit at Braith Eoman, the Court of the Penitents. I know it well. We used to bring apostates here, judge them, and make them repent. Those who did not repent were thrown into the pit, to the prison below.
The fall killed them, of course. The prison was not for people, but for their souls, and their sentences were eternal.
To survive the fall, we'll need to win favor with a god. Any god will do, and that's the next step in the main quest. But there is something else I want to take care of first. You're the one he's looking for. You killed Lord Raedric. Well, technically it was Kana. No, you don't understand. It didn't work. What in the goddamn? I guess we're going back to Gilded Vale. The castle is deserted. There is a lone vampire waiting at the gates. Lord Raedric has been expecting you. It is Raedric, reanimated by his god Barath, one of the gods we can ally with in Teir Evron, by the way.
I will cleanse the scattered god's poison from the blood of my people.
He still thinks the Eothasians are responsible for hollow births. You know, it's funny. Eothas is dead, his churches are destroyed, but the ritual candles below the temple, they're still burning.
Not bad for a dead god.
Not bad. Raedric is supported by 6 vampires, each capable of repeatedly using mind control. He can also inflict fear and has this area of effect fire attack. The secret to success is not bringing Kana to this fight. When the fishman inevitably gets mind controlled, his song will end up hurting our own party far more than the enemy, especially when you are running a group of glass cannon characters like I do. Theos ain't gonna be this easy. I chose to ally with Hylia, the goddess of birds, childbirth and creativity, Pelagina's mom. To be honest, I can't stand birds. In addition to the social stigma, godlike are sterile. Pelagina is a child of the goddess of birth who can never reproduce. She cannot experience her mother's domain. Every deity at Teir Evron has an agenda. Hylia asks us to return the stolen souls back to the children they were taken from.
Wait! I'm not done with you. It's not often that any of our kind get the chance to speak to their... What should I call you? My mother? Father?
Your prowess and valor leave a trail like a tapestry upon the world. I would not dampen your song, even with the comfort of my wings.
What does that mean? Come back here!
The last of the Inquithans has plans within plans. Discrediting animancy was only a side objective of the operation. The real goal was to siphon souls through these ancient machines to feed them to the Oathbinder, the queen that was. Boudica will once again take her place as a tyrant of the gods' court. Damn Inquithans and their underground mega facilities. We jump into the pit, hoping Hylia's wings will carry us safely to the bottom.
If war is coming, I should be doing what Theos is doing. I will need allies. Allies in a stronghold that can resist an invading army.
Have you thought about Oceanus?
That went better than I expected.
I think that statue of Boudica was watching us soil ourselves on the way down.
Sun in Shadow is the subterranean capital of Engwith. Or at least that's what it used to be back in the day. This part of the facility is the prison for souls, the extension of the court above. Due to the properties of the type of Adra used in the construction, souls trapped here cannot pass into the beyond. The only way out is to repent before the gods. There used to be many prisoners here. They all repented and were allowed to leave. All but one.
Hello, old friend. The ages have been kind to you, I hope.
Iovara the Apostate was betrayed by her close friend, by us, and delivered to Theos to be tortured and killed. This is all because she learned a great secret about the world. The gods are not real. Ha! Of course. We should start putting together the big ideas of this game.
That can't be right. Aeth, is he?
Adair initially doesn't believe the apostate. He has seen a god walking the earth and making a mess of things, like in Baldur's Gates. But the beings we worship are not natural gods, but rather immensely powerful constructs created by the Engwithan civilization. It happened here, in Sun and Shadow. In the time of the Engwith, the world was chaotic and violent. Through an extraordinary act of animancy, they sacrificed their own civilization to create the pantheon that rules Eora today.
Come to pray at the statue?
But Iovara learned the truth. Uncovering a flaw in the structure of the universe is a classic millennial RPG trope, running through Torment, Mask of the Betrayer, Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic 2, and now Pillars of Eternity.
How did you find it?
It was Lady Webb.
What's in Twin Elms?
It makes sense for Theos to want animancy to be discredited. If this science advances far enough to understand the mechanics of deific creation, the gods will be exposed as fabrications. Technological progress reshapes society, like in Arcanum of Steamworks and Magic Obscura. Engwithans were individualistic and tyrannical. The Pantheon reflects that. For thousands of years, the nations of Eora were running an ancient political theory, and it's not the most stable system. Not that long ago, a god was detonated by a bomb invented by another god. And just as the rebels once deposed Caed Nua, the gods themselves overthrew Boudica. In order to restore his queen to power, Theos X Arcanon began harvesting the souls of the children of Dyrford, creating the Hollowborn crisis.
The heart of this country has skipped a beat, nothing more. I have done far worse.
A system built to correct a flaw in human nature ended up creating new ones. War never changes. And there is even a little bit of what can change the nature of a man in here. It's a question asked by a hag from the Grey Waste in the classic Krapugar adventure Planescape Torment. The question is meant to test whether you understand one of the central features of the setting, that with belief, anything becomes possible. In the world of Planescape, this is an invitation to experiment with strange characters, like a loyal, kind succubus or an animated suit of armor held together by belief in justice. It's about loosening the rules so that interesting ideas can exist. Similarly, the Engwithan gods and Pillars of Eternity free the people of Eora from some of the limitations of material reality. If you worship a god, you gain real powers. In that sense, the Engwithan pantheon functions as a kind of equalizer. When the adherent settlers arrived in Dyrwood, the war that followed was not a war of extermination, and despite their technological inferiority, the tribes maintained a positive kill ratio against the settlers. Even ways of life that industrial society would normally crush, like the martial, nature-oriented culture of Air Glanfath, remain viable, thanks to the labors of Theos X Arcanon.
Is that the name for the groin rash your mother gave me?
Naturally, instead of thanking Theos, Hiravius says that he fucked his mother. I suppose this is possible with reincarnation being a thing and all. The statues of ancient inquisitors come to life. This is the final battle. In his human form, the last of the Engwithans can cast an absolutely brutal damage over time spell.
Enough of this!
Once you get Theos to low HP, his soul jumps into one of the statues, and a few turns later he returns to his own body with all health restored. After meeting our old friend Iovara, Sigram gained a special Watcher power to paralyze enemies as a free action, so I tried it on Theos. And it worked. The entire game I had been getting destroyed by crowd control. Now, it's your turn. The final blow was landed by, I don't know, some elemental poo Pelagina summoned. Big choice number 1. What do we do with Theos' soul? Do we destroy it? Do we send it to the wheel? I chose to lock it up in Braith Eaman, the prison for souls. He will spend the next 3,000 years making small talk with Iovara. Big choice number 2. What to do with all the souls Theos stole?
I have observed you, Watcher.
Look who the cat dragged in. Caed, the god of resentment, wants to make a deal. We should assume Theos' role, give the souls to the queen, become her new favored. Woodica has a long memory for friends and foes. It's weird that a patron of peasant rebellions speaks on behalf of a goddess of kings. I guess Caed is also a god of controlled opposition. Perhaps this is a cleverer system than I thought. But no thanks. Unlike Pelagina, I'm quite fond of birds, actually. (2823). The great tree in Gilded Vale is blooming once again. Children smile at their parents for the first time. Turns out the Hollowborn crisis did have a solution after all. Pillars of Eternity Preliminary Review. I appreciate the emphasis on visual realism in the art, as well as the commitment to a believable setting. Eora is about real people with real problems. Thank you for not over-stylizing the presentation. I know that took restraint. But there are no mage battles. The premier Crapogre feature is missing. This is a disaster. Remember the days when we thought that mage battles will be in every game? And where are they now? Gone. Not even the Great Sawyer could bring them back. I have an idea. Perhaps if we build an Irenicus-shaped type. The central problem are the encounters. This is the reason why the addition of turn-based mode didn't transform Pillars the way it did Pillars to Deadfire. Average floor rating for the Mega Dungeon was 6.5, and it's because of the encounter design. The correct number of capture battles your game should have is 0, an easy number to remember. We'll be back to play the DLCs. Is Pillars good? Yes, actually. It does ask a lot from you, but then again, many of you spent years posting how smart you were, so one needs to be a bit Faustian to enjoy Pillars. There is some great craftsmanship and interesting ideas in there, but it absolutely will try to destroy your mind. So make sure you protect yourself with our iconic Bobruisk gear. bobruisk-shop.fourthwall.com. The next video is about Beamdog's Gunnar additions to Baldur's Gate 2. Legendary Baal Salvashar returns, and Sigram Eret will eventually make a return as well. See you in a few weeks. Take care.